Story time, guys. There is this girl, we used to be like best friends back in our school days. She was very outspoken and socialized a lot. There was no day that would pass by without her posting one or two about herself on social media. She was a jolly good fellow and very kind as well. After we graduated, she got married, and that was when everything changed. She no longer posts on social media, she stopped going out and even stopped communicating with I and some of her other friends. She completely cut us out of her life. It's as if she went back into her shell, became reserved. I was wondering what could be the problem, because her husband, I know, is a very kind man. They loved each other so much that we, her friends, were even jealous of their bonds. I didn't believe he was the problem. Some months later, she contacted not just me but other of her friends. She wanted us back in her life. She even invited me to her place, saying that she wanted to catch up with what has been happening in our group, that she was feeling left out and all that. I also noticed my friend that had never kept to time and was now time conscious. She emphasized on me not arriving at her place a minute early or a minute late, and I must leave before 10 p.m. I was really happy with the invite, not minding the conditions. I wanted to find out what really happened to her, why my once lively and ever bubbly friend was no longer her usual self. The day of our meeting came. I arrived at her house at the exact time she told me because I didn't want to mess things up. She welcomed me, showed me the way to the living room, and excused herself. As I sat down waiting for my friend, I could perceive this delicious aroma coming from the dining room. And I walked there and was greeted by this feast neatly served on this massive table. It was as if they were hosting the president and his family. There is no way my friend would have been able to make all this by herself, and also not just for two people. I quickly ran back to the living room as I heard my friend coming. Instead of serving me the food I saw on the table, she brought snacks and drinks. We ate the snacks and gisted. Then we watched some movies. We were on the second movie when she slept off. When the movie ended, my friend was still sleeping and I didn't want to wake her up. So I decided to just take a tour of her house. When I came back, my friend was still sleeping. By this time, it was already getting late and I was hungry as well. So I decided to help myself out with some of the food on the dining table. After eating, I went to the kitchen to wash the plates. I was being careful not to wake her up. But what I saw in that kitchen, I couldn't help but exclaim so loud. Why are there maggots on the plate that I just finished eating with? When I looked at the dining, the table that was once filled with feast was now filled with different kinds of creepy creatures and maggots. I started throwing up, and the only things coming out of my mouth were maggots and creepy creatures. My friend came running. From her face, I could tell she was very angry. Why did you eat that food? Who gave you the permission? She asked me. She checked the time and it was almost 10 p.m. She turned to me and said, "You can't go back home again. The guests will be arriving soon." I asked her what guests. She said, "There is no time for me to start explaining things to you. You have to hide." So she hid me inside a cupboard, but I was able to see what was happening out there through a small opening in the cupboard. At exactly 10 p.m., I saw different creatures. Some were flying, some were floating in air. None of their feet touched the ground. They assembled the dining table, including my friend and her husband. Both my friend and her husband were wearing this glowing mask, and they started feasting on those maggots and creepy creatures. I was shaking, sweating from fear. I covered my mouth so tight so I wouldn't scream. After the meal, they started leaving, but then one of the creatures looked at my direction and said to my friend and her husband, "The rule is that all living things must be seated at the table before we arrive." Before I knew it, I was dragged out by this force and placed on the table. All of a sudden, invisible whips from all directions were landing on me. I cried and pleaded with them to forgive me. As I was pleading for those creatures to spare my life, one of them now said, "Since you've decided to dine and wine with us, you must become one of us and you must take an oath. You must join us every night at 10 p.m. to eat and drink for the rest of your life. And if you ever miss a day, you will pay with your life." I took the oath and they released me. I ran out of my friend's house without looking back. How I managed to get back home that night was only a miracle. From the next night to the next 5 months, I would go to my friend's house at exactly 10 p.m. to eat with these creatures. It was a living hell for me. I cried several times, didn't know what to do, until one night I said to myself, enough is enough. I can no longer live like this. I would go for the dinner and pretend to eat, but wouldn't eat anything. But each time I didn't eat, I would end up throwing up blood. One night, one of the creatures caught me and reminded me of the consequences. I had to force myself to eat those maggots again. After we finished eating, the creatures started leaving as usual. But this time, something didn't feel right. The door was left open. My friend's face screamed worry. Her husband then handed me this mask and congratulated me, saying, "You are now a full member." I looked at the mask. It was completely different from theirs. So I asked them why my mask was different. He said, "Because you are the chosen one. You've been chosen to serve them. Once you wear this mask, you will get to see who exactly these creatures are. And once that happened, you will become one of them and you will no longer go back to your human form again." I shouted, "God forbid," dropped the mask and ran back home. For 7 nights, I didn't go for their dinner and nothing happened to me. I was thinking that I was free at last. Little did I know what awaits for me. The next night, which was the 80th night, one of the creatures visited me as I was sleeping. It called out my name 3 times, telling me that I've broken the oath. Everywhere I go, I hear someone reminding me of the consequences of breaking the oath. I see weird creatures telling me that I shouldn't have eaten their food. And now I've broken my oath. I must pay for it. They literally started tormenting my life. I called my friend and told her what I was passing through. She told me that as long as they didn't give me anything to eat, they are not planning to unalive me. I stopped sleeping in my house and started staying with a friend. One midnight, I woke up, looked in the mirror across the bed and saw one of those creatures telling me that they are giving me another chance to return back to them where I belong. The next thing I saw in the mirror was my reflection wearing that mask that my friend's husband gave me, and I was floating. I screamed but never went back to them. The next time they visited me was through my friend's husband. I came back from work one day. I met him sitting down in my chair, smiling. Then he pointed at the table and said, "I brought food for you to eat." Then he disappeared. I remembered what my friend told me. Except they brought food for you to eat, they are not planning to unalive you. Now that they brought food for me, what does that mean? I'm confused. I don't even know what to do. Would you have eaten the food if you were me? As I speak to you, the bowl of that food is still sitting on my table. What do you think about this story, guys? Let me know your opinion in the comment section, and I'll see you in my next one. Ciao.